The cart rolls into the meat counter. The cold air hits your face as plastic-wrapped meat packages line the shelves, one on top of the other, some dripping, meat juices running all over the shelves and onto your hands. If the outside is dirty, what does the inside say? This is the reality in too many grocery chains these days. Labels that hide the true origins, shelves where the best cuts of meat are gone by noon, or counters without a butcher to answer a simple question. For families counting their pennies, a wrong purchase can mean not only wasted money, but also ruined dinner plans, tighter budgets, and broken trust. Which is why the spotlight is on 10 grocery stores, where buying meat is riskier than reward, along with 2 trusted places that actually deliver quality and value. And before we wrap up, a 3-step checklist to ensure no package ever slips past your grasp again. First stop, a store that attracts throngs of shoppers for home goods and fashion, but consistently disappoints meat shoppers. 1. Target. Avoid for meat. The cart turns down Target's meat aisle and the pattern shows up fast. Short cases, few cuts, and no butcher on duty to answer a simple, what works best for the grill tonight? Everything sits pre-packaged. If a family plan calls for a custom trim, a thinner steak, or smaller portions to fit a fixed budget, there's no one behind the counter to help. Selection leans basic. Ground beef, chicken breasts, a couple buffet pork options, and when the case looks picked over by mid-afternoon, dinner plans start to wobble. Labels tell the rest of the story. Some packages list sourcing from large national suppliers. Others always show origins far from home. That doesn't make the meat unsafe, but it does make traceability and consistency harder to judge, especially if tenderness and flavor matter, or if dietary goals call for grass-fed, humane certified, or local. Price can look decent at first glance, yet without an on-site butcher to split a family pack or trim excess fat, the deal can turn into waste once you're back in the kitchen. If meat has to be bought here in a pinch, treat the case like a checkpoint. Scan sell-by pack dates and skip markdowns that sit too close to the limit. Lift the tray. The bottom and film should be dry and taut, with no pooling juices. Read for country of origin and clear production claims. When in doubt, choose the simplest cut and plan to portion at home. It's triage, not ideal shopping. Target works for paper towels and pantry fillers. For meat, reliability means choice, guidance, and clean, well-sealed packs. Things that a true butcher counter brings, and this aisle doesn't. From a big box that treats meat like an afterthought to a fan-favorite specialty store with a different blind spot, transparency, let's move on. 2. Trader Joe's. Avoid for meat, depth to the meat case and the whole picture fits inside one glance. A short, tidy display. No butcher counter, everything under a private label. You look for a farm name, a plant code, any clue to trace where a steak or pack of thighs comes from, and hit a wall. Suppliers can vary by region and season, which makes consistency a gamble if tenderness, marbling, or specific raising standards will matter to your household. Quality can be fine when the exact cut you want happens to be there, but the selection is tiny. Toss in a recipe that needs a special cut, a thicker grind, or portions split for 2 meals, and there's no one to trim, recut, or repack on request. That means paying for extra fat you don't want, or wrestling with a slippery tray at home to portion it yourself. For fixed budgets, that's not just inconvenient, it risks waste. If meat ends up in the cart here, use a fast filter. Date, choose the freshest pack, skip markdowns brushing the use by. Leak, pick trays that are dry underneath and film that's tight, no pooling juices. Label, favor simple, familiar cuts. Chicken thighs, ground beef, 85-15, pork loin, where cooking methods are forgiving. Think of Trader Joe's as a grab it while you're here, stop. Great for frozen snacks and pantry finds, not a destination for meat planning. When a dinner plan calls for options, advice, and the flexibility to portion correctly at the counter, a real butcher department saves time, money, and stress. Next up, a chain with massive variety and easy prices on basics, but trade-offs on specialty cuts and traceability. 3. Walmart. Avoid for meat with one exception. Aisles deliver variety. Everyday grinds, family pack chicken, pork for tacos, ribs for the weekend. Prices feel friendly, and the case rarely looks empty. The trade-off shows up when dinner needs specialty cuts, flat iron, hanger, dry age, trim to order, or when traceability matters. Much of the standard assortment comes from large industrial suppliers, so origin and raising practices blur together on the label. That makes consistency harder to predict if tenderness, marbling, or humane standards sit high on the checklist. Service is limited by design, no true butcher counter in many locations. So portioning for a small household, trimming excess fat, or splitting a family pack turns into kitchen work at home. Savings shrink when half a tray ends up in the freezer with ice crystals, or worse, in the trash. There is one clear exception worth using: the 100% grass-fed U.S.-sourced beef now appearing in more stores. Packages marked product of USA and 100% grass-fed shift the experience. Cleaner labels, simpler sourcing, steadier flavor. When that line is available, it's the smartest pick in the case. How to shop if Walmart is the only stop today. Label first. Hunt for 100% grass-fed plus US product of USA. Skip ambiguous claims. Date and color. Choose the latest pack date. Look for bright cherry red beef, not brown iridescent. Leak check. Lift the tray. Dry bottom, tight film. No pooling juices. Portion plan. Buy the smallest pack that fits 2 meals. Wrap airtight at home within an hour. For basic budget-friendly staples, Walmart covers ground. For confidence in special cuts, traceability, and hands-on help, better options exist. And one warehouse rival in particular tends to edge it out on meat quality and sourcing clarity. From nationwide convenience to an East Coast staple with a different headache, great organic line, but shelves that can't stay stocked, next up is Giant. 4. Giant. Avoid for meat, walk the aisle with a plan. Nature's Promise Organic, maybe a grass-fed cut from those farms in South Dakota or Nebraska, and face the exact shelf that should hold it. Empty slot. 2 tired packages left, edges darkening, film a little loose. That's the recurring headache, inconsistency. A solid private label on paper doesn't matter if the cut isn't there when dinner depends on it. After a few wasted trips, the cost isn't just in dollars, it's in timno, and a scrambled meal plan. Quality can be good when stock is fresh, but the feast or famine cycle turns shopping into a gamble. By late afternoon or on the wrong day before delivery, the case looks picked clean, and what remains often isn't the best-looking option. Without a reliably staffed butcher counter to dig for a better tray or portion to size, flexibility drops and waste risk climbs. If Giant is the only stop today, run a quick playbook. Timing. Aim for morning on known delivery days. Avoid the last hours before restock. Freshness. Reach to the back row for the newest packs. Confirm pack date last use by. Condition. Choose trays that are dry underneath with taut film. Skip any pooling juice. Fallback. If the exact cut isn't available, pivot to forgiving options. Chuck roast, pork shoulder, chicken thighs that cook well low and slow. Consistency is a feature, not a bonus when budgets are tight. When shelves swing from well-stocked to wiped out, reliable planning becomes impossible, and that's reason enough to shop meat elsewhere. From unreliable shelves to lines that barely move, next up, a chain where crowds and rushed butchers undercut the experience. ShopRite. 5. ShopRite. Avoid for meat crowds hit first. The meat cases get boxed in by carts, and the line at the counter barely inches forward. When it's finally your turn, the butcher is juggling 3 requests and a ringing phone. What you get is speed, not guidance. No time to talk through chuck versus round for a slow cooker. No careful trim to save you from paying for fat you won't eat. That rushed rhythm turns an already tight budget into guesswork. Selection looks fine on paper, but peak hours strip the best trays fast. By late afternoon, you're left sorting through odds and ends, uneven marbling, film that's not quite snug, family packs that don't fit a 2-person household. Yes, the pre-wrapped meats are typically sealed better than many chains. less mess in the cart, and no sticky hands. But good plastic isn't a substitute for a calm, helpful butcher or a case that stays stocked with the cuts you actually cook. If ShopRite is the only option today, a few moves help. Go off-peak. Early weekday mornings beat weekend afternoons by a mile. Ask fast, ask specific. Could you split this into two 1 PLB packs and trim the cap? Short requests get done even when it's busy. Scan from the back. Newer packs sit behind. Pick trays with dry bottoms and tight film. Choose forgiving cuts. Chicken thighs, pork shoulder, chuck roast. Less risk if marbling is hit or miss. When the counter runs on urgency instead of attention, meat buying becomes stressful and imprecise. For consistent service, portioning help, and steady quality, there are calmer counters that respect both your time and your wallet. Now to the Midwest, where daily fresh cutting sounds great until ethical commitments go missing. Meijer is next. 6 Meijer. Void for meat. Fresh cut daily soundings perfect on the sign. Cases refilled each morning. Steaks bright and tidy. Ground beef that hasn't been sitting in all week. For quick dinners, that's a real advantage. The trouble shows up when the checklist goes beyond fresh today. Ethical standards, humane certifications, and clear long-term sourcing policies matter just as much, especially if health, flavor, and trust are non-negotiable. Here, the public commitments feel thin. Cage-free eggs make headlines, but stronger pledges around beef, pork, and poultry don't always follow with the same clarity. When labels read like marketing instead of verifiable standards, consistency becomes guesswork. Budget planning also takes a hit without a butcher able to tailor portions to the household. Family packs look like value until half of it sits in the freezer, picking up ice and losing texture. And when the goal is a reliable midweek roast or stew meat with good marbling, the case can lean basic, fine for tacos and meatloaf, less ideal for recipes that need specific cuts or trims. If Meijer is the stop today, tighten the routine. Proof on the label, prioritize third-party signals. USDA organic, certified humane, 100% grass-fed, or detailed country of origin. Freshness is check. Reach back row for newer pack dates. Skip markdowns tight to use by. Condition check. Pick trays with dry bottoms and taut film. No pooling juices. Smart cuts. Choose chuck roast, pork shoulder, chicken thighs. Forgiving in braises and pressure cookers when sourcing is variable. Portion control. Rewrap at home in 1 to 1.5 full packs. Label date and cut to prevent freezer waste. Daily cutting is a plus, but without robust sourcing standards and flexible service, meat buying turns into a series of small compromises that add up. When transparency and tailoring matter, there are better counters ahead. Paper policies can look spotless until real shoppers find spoiled packs and leaky seals. That's the disconnect waiting at Lidl. 7. Lidl. Avoid for meat stand under the bright signs about transparent sourcing and higher animal welfare standards. Then scan the case. Some trays look fine. Others show damp cardboard, loose film, or that telltale smear under the package. Feedback from shoppers varies wildly by location. Some stores are spotless. Others turn meat buying into a coin flip. That inconsistency is the real problem. When every dollar counts, quality control shouldn't depend on which shifts stock the cooler. Policies on paper don't rescue a compromised seal. Leaks invite mess, oxidation, and off odors. Even a small lift in the plastic weakens shelf life. Add in a limited on-site service model, no one to repack smaller portions or trim heavy fat, and Bahanam, value starts to erode as soon as the tray hits the cart. If Lidl is the only stop today, use a strict pass/fail, seal and dryness. Film must be taut with no pooling juices. The underside of the tray should be dry. Pack date first. Choose the newest pack. Avoid markdowns sitting on the edge of use by. Visual cues. Steer clear of swollen film, discoloration, or ice crystals on previously frozen items. Safer cuts. Pick chicken thighs, pork shoulder, Chuck roast, forgiving in braises if sourcing varies. Repack immediately. Once home, divide into 1 to 1.5 of each portions. Wrap airtight, label date. Standards matter, but so does execution. When seals, handling, and restock discipline wobble, dinner plans wobble with them. A meat counter should lower risk, not raise it. For steadier outcomes, there are warehouse clubs and regional grocers up next that do the basics. Clean packs, predictable sourcing, and simple service, far more consistently. Quick bridge, onto BJ's Wholesale Club. Helpful butchers who'll split big cuts, yet a recurring complaint, leaky packages. 8. BJ's Wholesale Club. Avoid for meat. The appeal is obvious. Warehouse pricing, generous cuts, and an on-site butcher willing to break down a roast into family-friendly packs. Then the flaw shows up. Leaky packages. Reach into the case, and the hand comes back damp, sleeve smudged, card handle questionable. It's not every tray, not every club, but the pattern pops up often enough to turn meat shopping into a mess. A compromised overwrap doesn't just mean sticky hands. It shortens shelf life, speeds oxidation, and can push a good-looking cut past its best by the time it hits the skillet. Timing adds another hurdle. Arrive on the wrong day, right before delivery, and the case looks picked over. What's left are odd sizes, uneven marbling, and family packs that don't match a 2 or 3 person household. Savings fade when half a tray gets freezer burn or when iffy seal risks off odors by day 2. If BJ's is today's stop, run a stricter routine. Choose case-ready over store-wrapped when possible. Tight cryovac beats loose overwrap. Lift and look. Underside must be dry. Film taut with no pooling. Skip any tray with a wet pad. Ask the butcher, can you rewrap and split this into 2 1 for 1.5 packs? Quick, specific requests get done. Shop the schedule. Learn delivery days. Go morning after for fresher stock and cleaner seals. Cold chain, bag meat separately and head home promptly. Repackage airtight within an hour. Similar prices, stronger reputation, yet a new trade-off appears at the next club. Global sourcing that complicates traceability. Hello, Costco. 9. Costco. Avoid for meat, traceability trade-off. Price tags do the talking. Big steaks, low per-pound numbers, carts full of promise. The compromise sits in the fine print. Beef may come from the U.S., Canada, Australia, or elsewhere. Lamb is often imported. Sourcing shifts by region and season. For households prioritizing traceability and consistent flavor, that global pipeline turns label reading into homework. Specialty cuts are rare and custom work at the counter is limited. Great value on classic steaks and roasts, but less help when a recipe needs something precise or portion size for 2. Bulk packs amplify the risk. A deal stops being a deal when half a tray gets freezer burn or sits too long in the fridge. And without certainty on ranch standards, grass-fed versus grain-finished, humane certifications, or never-ever claims, predicting tenderness and taste from week to week gets tricky. If Costco is the stop today, tighten the playbook. Country and grade. Read country of origin and choose USDA prime/choice. Skip vague claims. Whole primals. Random trays, a cryovac subprimal, e.g. strip loin, often means that tighter seals and better yield at home. Pack condition, film taut, pad dry, no pooling. Pick the freshest pack date. Batch and freeze right. Portion into 1 to 1.5 lubby packets. Within an hour, wrap airtight, label cut date. Simple cuts win. Ribeye, strip, chicken thighs, pork shoulder. Predictable cooking even when sourcing varies. Costco shines on price and volume. For shoppers who need clarity of origin, finer cuts, and flexible counter service, that price edge can come with hidden costs, time, waste, and guesswork. From global sourcing to a conventional chain where the difference between average and excellent hides in one small sticker, Safeway is next. 10. Safeway numbing. Avoid for meat, unless you find the right sticker. The case looks familiar. Plenty of basics, ground beef, chicken breasts, pork chops, stacked in neat rows. On an average day, that's exactly what you'll get. The gap appears when you want predictable tenderness, clear raising standards, or help choosing the best cut for a slow cooker versus the grill. Selection lags behind higher-ranked counters, and without a robust butcher presence at busy hours, custom trims or split packs aren't a sure thing. For tight budgets, paying for fat you'll trim at home, or for portions that don't match your household size chips away at the value. There is a smarter path here, but it takes label work. Safeway carries a higher standard beef line with the certified humane, raised and handled seal, often under the Aspen Ridge program. That little sticker is the difference between just okay and worth it. Find it, and you're buying into verified practices and more consistent eating quality. Miss it, and you're back to commodity territory where flavor and texture can swing from trip to trip. If Safeway is the stop today, use a two-lane strategy. Lane A, best case, hunt the certified humane sticker. Pick the freshest pack date, film taut, tray dry, no pooling juices. Lane B, fallback. If the sticker's missing, choose forgiving cuts. Chuck roast, pork shoulder, chicken thighs, and cook low and slow. Ask for repack into 2 1.1 portions if staff is available. Safeway can work when the right label is on the shelf. Without it, you're paying standard price for standard meat, and there are counters ahead that deliver clearer sourcing and steadier quality without the scavenger hunt. Enough of the headaches. Let's pivot to 2 counters that consistently save time, money, and stress. Sam's Club and Kroger Simple Truth Organic. 11. Sam's Club. Good alternative. Sam's Club delivers what shoppers hope for in a warehouse club. Low prices on large packs and better than expected quality. The meat cases are usually clean, the cuts look consistent, and the staff will often split and rewrap big portions into smaller packs if you ask. That simple service makes it easier for small households or retirees on fixed incomes to stretch a bulk purchase without ending up with freezer-burned leftovers. Compared to other warehouse chains, the packages here are less likely to leak or create a mess. Steaks and roasts often show more consistent marbling, making cooking results steadier from week to week. The selection covers the basics: ribeye, strip, sirloin, pork shoulder, chicken thighs, so meal planning feels simpler and more reliable. Tips for shopping meat at Sam's Club. Go in the morning after delivery for the freshest stock. Ask the butcher to divide large packs into 1 to 1.5 portions and rewrap them tightly. Look for cryovac subprimals, whole strip loin or pork loin, for better value and longer shelf life. Always check the pack date, seal, and tray. Pick only dry, tightly wrapped packages. Portion and freeze within an hour, labeling cuts and dates for easy rotation. Sam's Club combines warehouse pricing with cleaner packaging and better sourcing transparency, making it one of the most dependable places for affordable, good quality meat. 12. Kroger Simple Truth Organic. Good alternative. At Kroger, the regular meat section looks similar to many other supermarkets. Plenty of basics, but nothing special. The real difference appears when you turn to the Simple Truth Organic line. These packages carry the USDA organic seal and follow strict never-ever rules. No antibiotics, no added hormones, no animal byproducts. That means cleaner labels, more consistent flavor, and meat you can actually trust to meet higher standards. Unlike some chains where premium options are hidden or inconsistent, Simple Truth is usually well-stocked. For families and seniors working with a tight budget, this makes meal planning more predictable. Ground beef for burgers, sirloin tip for stew, chicken for roasting, onion. Eat all with reliable quality each week. And because Kroger runs frequent promotions, these organic options often become affordable enough to keep in the weekly cart. Tips for buying Simple Truth meat at Kroger. Look specifically for the Simple Truth Organic label. Don't settle for house brand lookalikes. Choose packages with the newest pack date, a dry tray, and tight plastic wrap. Prioritize versatile cuts like 85-15 ground beef, chuck roast, or chicken thighs, which stretch across multiple meals. Repack at home into 1.25 portions, freeze flat for quick thawing, and label with the date to avoid waste. By sticking with Simple Truth, shoppers can bypass the risks of commodity meat and build a weekly plan that is consistent, affordable, and trustworthy. 10 different chains, 10 different problems. Some treat the meat counter as an afterthought with no butcher in sight. Others hide behind private labels that make sourcing impossible to trace. A few stock shelves so inconsistently that planning a week's dinners feels like rolling dice. And then there are the messy ones. Packages that leak, seals that fail, and cases that leave shoppers wiping down carts. For households living on fixed budgets, every one of those flaws is more than an inconvenience. It's wasted money, ruined meals, and frustration that shouldn't be part of grocery shopping. That's why the safe path forward rests on a simple 3-step checklist. Use it anywhere, every time. 1. Date. Choose the newest pack date. Skip markdowns that sit too close to the use by. 2. Leak. Lift the time. The bottom should be dry, the plastic wrap tight with no pooling juices. 3. Label when. Look for USDA organic, certified humane, 100% grass-fed, or clear product of USA sourcing. Combine that discipline with smarter choices at counters that respect your time and money. Sam's Club delivers warehouse pricing without the sloppy packaging, plus butchers who'll split portions to fit your household. Kroger Simple Truth. Organic Line provides reliable, clean label beef that takes the guesswork out of weekly meal planning. These are the kinds of stops that make every dollar stretch further while protecting your family's health. So the question is simple. Will the next shopping trip stop at a store that gambles with your budget or at one that rewards it with quality you can trust? Share your experiences in the comments. Tell us your go-to store. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the next breakdown of what's worth buying and what isn't.